Hello friends, today we are going to learn the another topic from the lacrimal gland and the topic is dacryocystitis. The dacryocystitis is the inflammation of lacrimal sac. Now regarding the classification of dacryocystitis, it can be broadly divided into the three varieties. One is congenital, second is primary dacryocystitis in adults, and the third variety is secondary dacryocystitis, which occurs as a result of the infection present somewhere else, and now the secondary dacryocystitis develops. The primary dacryocystitis can be again further divided into the chronic and acute variety, and the secondary dacryocystitis can be further divided into the occurring in infants and occurring in adults. Now we will see one by one the various varieties of dacryocystitis. So first we will see a congenital dacryocystitis. This condition develops due to the failure of canalization of nasolacrimal duct. So there is failure of canalization of nasolacrimal duct and the lumen being blocked by epithelial debris. This condition may be bilateral. The clinical signs of congenital dacryocystitis is initially there is a epiphora and purulent discharge near the inner canthus. If we apply pressure on the sac, there is regurgitation of mucopurulent matter. The purulent matter is first sterile, but it soon becomes infected. The treatment of congenital dacryocystitis is to apply sharp pressure over the sac area, which forces the contents down, and thus the patency of the nasolacrimal duct will be achieved. After that, the probing of nasolacrimal duct cure the condition. Now it is unwise to wait beyond the age of 2 to 6 months. Delay in the treatment causes complete cicatricial obliteration of the duct. Now we will study the primary dacryocystitis. In that, the first variety is chronic dacryocystitis. Etiological factors, if you see, age-wise it occurs in adults over middle age. Majority of cases belongs to the female. It can be unilateral or bilateral and common in lower middle class of group. The predisposing factors for development of primary dacryocystitis, especially chronic, is the stricture of duct due to the narrowness of bony canal, chronic inflammation of nasal mucosa, hypertrophied inferior turbinate, extreme deviation of nasal septum, or by pressure of nasal polyp. So these conditions will work as a predisposing condition and can lead to formation of a chronic dacryocystitis. Due to these factors, the infection of stagnated sac contents by bacteria occurs. Commonly the bacteria that infects are pneumococcus, streptococcus and staphylococcus. Now let's see what pathological changes develop in the chronic dacryocystitis. Initially there will be a stagnation due to the stricture of nasolacrimal duct. The contents become infected and sac wall becomes chronically inflamed. The epithelium of sac wall multiplies to form several layers and adenoid layer becomes infiltrated with plasma cells, large mononuclear cells in addition to the lymphocytes. The vascularity of wall will increase and the sac wall becomes atonic. The contents are first watery, later on mucoid due to the secretion of mucus from the goblet cells, and afterward mucopurulent due to the exudation of pus cells. The main symptom of chronic dacryocystitis is epiphora. Clinical signs can be studied in 3 stages. Here the first stage is catral stage. In this stage there will be a persistent watering from the eye. There is a mild conjunctival hyperemia at inner canthus of affected site. So here there will be a mild conjunctival hyperemia. Very little or no regurgitation of any fluid matter through the punctum while applying pressure on the sac. On syringing, the fluid regurgitates through the upper punctum mixed with the flake of mucus. No local swelling over the sac area or tenderness will be present in the catarrhal stage. Second stage is mucocele stage. In addition to watering from the eye, there is swelling over the sac below the medial palpebral ligament, which is not tender. When you check by applying pressure on the sac, the mucoid material will regurgitate through the punctum. Sometimes both canaliculi may be blocked when there is no regurgitation on pressure, and the condition is known as encysted mucocele. The conjunctival hyperemia at the inner canthus remains same that was present also in the catarrhal stage. The third stage is pyocele stage, or it is also called as suppurative stage. The hyperemia at inner canthus that was present in stage 1 and 2 now becomes pronounced. Similar swelling over the sac area below medial palpebral ligament, which is not tender. Also, there is no redness of skin over the swelling. On pressure over the sac, there is regurgitation of mucopurulent matter through the punctum, and the watering of eye remains as before. The complications of chronic dacryocystitis are acute dacryocystitis, development of corneal ulcer, or chronic conjunctivitis. Now we will study the second variety of primary dacryocystitis after chronic, that is acute dacryocystitis. What is acute dacryocystitis? It is suppurative inflammation of lacrimal sac. Etiological factors, if you study, it occurs as an acute exacerbation of chronic dacryocystitis. We have already studied in the chronic dacryocystitis, one of the complication is acute dacryocystitis. So it can occur as a acute exacerbation of chronic dacryocystitis, or rarely it may also start spontaneously without any history of epiphora. The causative agents are Streptococcus, Pneumococcus, Staphylococcus. Now regarding the pathophysiology, the sac will become filled with frank pus due to the abundant polymorphonuclear leukocytes. Inflammation will spread in the surrounding tissue, will result into the pericystitis. Finally, the abscess is formed known as lacrimal abscess, which usually burst on the skin surface below lacrimal palpebral ligament, forming the lacrimal fistula. As soon as the pus drains out, inflammation subsides and sac becomes shrunken and fibrous. The symptoms of acute dacryocystitis are severe pain and sensation of heat over the sac area, radiating over the frontal region. There will be a fever and watering. On examination, you will find clinical signs like marked swelling and redness of skin over the sac, edema of skin of the lids and of side of nose. Skin over sac is markedly tender and hot. There is no regurgitation through the puncta at this stage, as the canaliculi becomes blocked due to the edema of surrounding tissue. There is slight congestion and chemosis of conjunctiva and enlargement of submaxillary group of lymph nodes. When the lacrimal abscess is formed, fluctuation can be elicited. When the abscess bursts on the skin surface, a fistula is formed and the signs and symptoms of acute inflammation will subside. If the condition is not treated properly and left it is, the fistula may close later and there may be a further attacks of acute dacryocystitis. The complications of acute dacryocystitis are osteomyelitis of lacrimal bone, which may be eroded, and an internal lacrimal fistula may be formed opening into the nose. Second complication is orbital cellulitis due to the spread of inflammation into the orbit. The another complication is facial cellulitis due to the spread of inflammation into the face. And the last complication is cavernous sinus thrombosis due to the spread of infection along the angular vein. Now the third variety of dacryocystitis according to classification is secondary dacryocystitis. It can occur in infants or it can occur in adults. The secondary dacryocystitis in infant is rare and usually originates from tubercular or syphilitic affection of the surrounding bones. In adults, it can occur due to trachoma, tubercular and syphilitic affection of surrounding bone, or in leprosy. Now coming to the treatment of dacryocystitis. First we will study the treatment of chronic dacryocystitis and then we will study the treatment of acute dacryocystitis. Treatment of chronic dacryocystitis, one of the treatment that is probing of nasolacrimal duct and syringing of sac. This may be tried in early stage to open up the duct and to control the infection by syringing, but this method invariably fails as the patency of the duct cannot be restored. The another way of treatment is by removal of sac by dacryocystectomy operation. As the sac is the local source of infection, it must be removed to avoid the development of corneal ulcer. The operation is easy, but it may result into the lifelong epiphora. And the third option for the treatment, that is nasal drainage or dacryocystorhinostomy operation. In this operation, the medial wall of the sac is anastomosed with the mucous membrane of the middle meatus of the nose. If successful, the condition is cured and there is neither epiphora nor regurgitation will be present. Now the treatment of acute dacryocystitis. In the acute dacryocystitis, the treatment before the abscess formation and localization of inflammation is application of hot compress, use of broad spectrum antibiotic and analgesics. That is the treatment. When the inflammation has localized and the fluctuation can be elicited in acute dacryocystitis, a vertical incision over the sac to drain the pus is the treatment. Removal of sac when inflammation completely subsides. And the third condition, when the lacrimal fistula is formed, there the treatment is excision of fistulous passage and removal of the sac. So with this slide we finish the topics of lacrimal gland and lacrimal passage. Thank you very much.